Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the Boldclash BWhoop B06 here, and this is a brushless tiny whoop. You can see it's got the tiny whoop form factor. You got the canopy with the all-in-one camera and video transmitter, and this is the FO2H that I reviewed previously on the channel, and I'll show you that this is the one I put on the B03 here. It's the exact same one. I'll put a link in the corner, a card for the review video for this. Works exactly the same way. You can change your bands and channels on top here looking at the lights with this button, and it works very well. The video quality on this camera, all-in-one camera, is very good. Very good signal. I like the image quality and the reception. You got some brushless motors on here. These are the Boldclash 0703 15,000 kV motors. They weigh 1.9 grams, and this makes the whole thing here, I think it's about 26.5 grams, something like that. We'll measure it here in a second. The motor to motor distance here is 75 millimeters, and then including the ducts from end of duct to the end of duct is 120 millimeters. It's a little bit bigger than your traditional tiny whip here. You can see the B03 Pro here is the same size as a tiny whip, and you can see that it's a little bit, the brushless version is a little bit bigger, and you got the bigger props as well. So you have the 31 millimeter props on the B03, and I believe these are the 50 millimeter props on the B06. So they're quite a bit bigger, and you got a little more power. So the heart of this system here, what makes this amazing and lightweight, is the single board that's on the bottom here. And obviously it's going to be hard to take the whole thing apart, so I'm just going to show you what the board looks like from the bottom. Yeah, basically it's one board that has 4 ESCs and the flight controller all in one, and it's really amazing. I think it's an SB Racing F3 flight controller. It's got an older version of Betaflight on there, and I did tweak the tune a little bit, and I'll show you the PIDs a little bit later in the video. But yeah, it flies pretty well on what comes out of the box. You get a USB port here on the bottom. Uses these MMCX connectors, or JSD 2.0 millimeter PH connectors here for the battery, and you do get the battery included here. It's an 80 to 160C battery, so a very good battery, 450 milliamp hours. I'll put links to extra batteries in the description because you'll definitely want to get more of this. It's a lot of fun. The receiver on here is the FlySky RX2A Pro, and I can see here that it's a separate little board for the receiver. You can get this in DSMX and also FreeSky as well, and those other versions are also on the same product page. Now what's pretty cool about these motors is that they come with plugs like they do on brushed motors, so there's no soldering involved. So if you burn a motor out, or if the motor dies for whatever reason, just unplug it, plug a new motor in, and you're good to go. The 4-in-1 ESC on here is BWhoop and not BWS, and I believe they're only 2 amps, bursting up to 3 amps, which is enough for this particular brushless micro, which only runs on 1S, so it'll be totally fine. So I did fly this around already quite a bit and bashed it around, and can tell you that the ducts are very strong. I've had a number of crashes, and this has not broken anywhere or cracked anywhere. You can see it does give, and that's what you want it to do. You don't want it to be so stiff where it'll snap, and I have crashed it actually quite a bit, and this frame is holding up so far. No damage through all the crashes I've had, so I can report that this is a pretty good frame, and I think it'll be pretty durable for most crashes, especially indoors, because I think that you'll probably enjoy this more indoors than outdoors. Okay, let's get a couple of weight measurements here. So I believe this is like 26.5 grams. Okay, so 26.9 grams without the battery, and then for comparison, here's what my B03 weighs. It weighs almost 25.4 grams. So the brushless version is a bit bigger, does weigh a bit more, but I think you get more power than you do with the brushed motors. So I think that's enough of me rambling on about this product here. I'm going to go ahead and show you the flight footage. I did fly it a little bit inside the house. I think that it does get affected by the wind from the outside, so you'll enjoy it more flying it inside. But I was able to fly it outside as well at a nearby park, and I'll show you that footage as well. It was a little bit windy. It does affect the flight characteristics a little bit, but still just as fun outside. You just have to be a little bit more aware of the wind and also try and not fly it on a really windy day. Anyway, here you go. Here's the flight footage. Okay, so here's a little bit of flight footage from a nearby park. It was a little bit windy this day, but I think I was a little bit protected by a lot of these obstacles. So you just have to be a little bit aware of the wind when you're flying. Obviously, in very windy conditions, you don't want to fly this because it's so light, but it has enough power to go through a little bit of a light breeze, and you can see here crashing is not a problem because it's very durable. Now, I did try to do some acrobatics as well a little bit later in this demo flight, and it does do flips and rolls, and obviously I think that because of the ducks it's going to be it's going to have a little bit of wobbles and stuff, but this is pretty normal for tiny whips. If you've ever flown a brush tiny whip, it has the same issues. It has to do with the extra weight that's on the very end of the craft that's causing trouble with the flight controller. This is something that I don't think we're going to be able to tune out at any point, but it's not terrible. It's still very, very flyable, and you can still do flips and rolls. It just doesn't look as nice as on a quad that doesn't have the ducks. So I think that after I've flown this, maybe put about 10, 12 batteries through this, I'm pretty confident to say this is probably the brushless, or the best brushless tiny whip of the year. There was the Jumper, I think X68S, that I think some people liked from before, but I didn't like that model. It didn't work for me for one reason, and I think one of the ESCs burned out right away after about 20 seconds of flight. And I don't like the design either. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit smaller motor to motor size. You know, I think it's 68 versus 75, but the motors are upside down, and I'd rather have the motors in the correct orientation, and these motors are in the correct orientation. I think that it's actually better for that, and safer for the motor as well. Anyway guys, this is my recommendation for the best brushless tiny whip of the year, and I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. I think it's a lot of fun, and let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.